Let's talk about homesickness. Um, Today, I'm just going to share with you a few tips and tricks I use to overcome homesickness because you cannot tell me you are not going to be homesick regardless of how much you may have tried to even detach yourself from your home country, which of course is not my plan, it's not my intention. No, no, no. I'm very much in tune with my origins and my Africanness, my Ghanaianness, and homesickness is normal, it's natural, it's expected, and these are some of the ways I deal with them or I will be dealing with them. One of the ways I overcome homesickness is staying connected with my family back home. We live in the dispensation where technology has actually helped bridge so many gaps that existed 20, 30 years ago, which now do not, thanks to technology. I mean, in days past, people used to write handwritten letters and send it via what telegram. I mean, not even telegram of today, through some form of telegram, and it took days to arrive. Progressed to a point where people were actually recording their voices onto a tape, and then when somebody is coming home, they give it to the person to bring it home to their families back home. But now today, technology has advanced so much that I can actually make a video call all the way back home, and I can see live what my family is doing. In fact, people even have cameras where they can monitor from wherever they are in the world, and so it's almost as though they never left. So one of the ways I keep in touch is by calling my family. I don't really have a rigid schedule that I have to call my mom or my dad at 6 p.m. every Thursday or 5 p.m. every Sunday. No, but I do try to make as many calls as possible within the week, vice versa also from their end. There's also WhatsApp chat which I use a lot. One of the ways to fish out, you know what, I've been watching some videos, and one of the ways the fish was it a Jubilee or a cat video, or maybe even a Nectar video, where they were trying to identify who was Black American and who was African. And one of the ways they used to catch the people who were Black American were, do you use WhatsApp? Those who said no were like, yeah, Black American, because once you're African, it's very easy, and you have family back home. WhatsApp is one of the go-to technology or apps that we're using to catch up with people back home. So I'm catching up video calls, voice calls, WhatsApp, direct calls, whichever way, just connecting with them. One of the ways I do that is by calling them, hearing their voice, seeing them, seeing familiar places in the background while they are talking to me. I'm like, oh, sometimes, sometimes you can call and they'll be showing you the house, showing you even the streets and neighbors, and it just helps you to. I mean, it can go both ways. I mean, you may even miss them some more from these calls, but also I think it has a net positive because through seeing these images, you try to calm yourself down and understand that you're still on Earth. You're not in a totally different universe, and you can always see them whenever you want to. All things being equal, try to create a piece of home wherever you are. How do you create a piece of home? You can infuse it into your decor. So maybe something in your house, like right now when I look around my house, there are things that remind me of my family, like maybe pictures, a decorative item you brought from back home, pictures of your family, of yourself, of just anything that would remind you of home. You can also maybe have some African artifacts, African designs, African clothes. Some time ago, the dashiki was trending like crazy. I think maybe now it's not that much. But at a point, one of the ways you could easily identify Africans walking on the streets is because they will be wearing their dashiki. So one of the ways is to infuse the African decor into your house, things that remind you of your family, pictures, clothes, decorative items, and everything that when you see, like, oh, yeah, I remember this day, I remember we did this. So they help with keeping their memory alive. I mean, they're still on earth, but like keeping the memories alive. So one of the ways I really, really deal with the homesickness is by eating a lot of traditional food. Honestly, I'm shooting this video on a Sunday. All things being equal, if I'm very hyped up, I may just edit this video today and it will go up today. But if it doesn't go up on a Sunday, whenever you see it, just know that right before I shot this video, I actually ate some fufu with palm nut soup. Yes, fufu is pretty much a Sunday special back home. So in most Ghanaian societies on a Sunday, we're eating fufu with granite soup, fufu with light soup, fufu with palm nut soup, fufu with any kind of soup. Abenkatin kontoy, though it's a combination of all these soups I've mentioned, sometimes also with some kontomire. So Sunday special is fufu. Yes, I actually ate fufu to commemorate the memories of when I was back home. So one of the ways you can do that is by keeping up to date, eating some of your local foods. I know that buying some of these local foods abroad can be very expensive. And honestly, you can try to integrate into the country you're in and eat their food, but it's not always nice. It's not always nice. You can do your jollof rices, your akaras, you can do your moi moi, you can do your banga soup if you're from Nigeria, you can do your ugali, you can do your okra soup stew, your body and pesi, you know, your banku with okra, banku with pepper and tilapia, kenke, you know. So one of the ways you can reduce homesickness is like eating food that reminds you of home. Okay, trying to source, I mean, get the ingredients. There's so many African shops abroad nowadays, Pakistani, Indian shops which sell African stuff that you can actually go to buy your ingredients and make some food. Also, if cooking all these things from scratch is too much for you, there are African restaurants here and there you can actually go to or order from, and then just get a taste of home. You know, sometimes you can taste, you know how perfumes work. Sometimes you can smell perfume of a random person and then it just reminds you of someone else who may have had that perfume, and even a memory around that time, you know. Even if it's not about someone, it can just bring memories back. So that's just by eating, staying in touch, not forgetting your roots. It's actually one of the ways you can actually deal with homesickness. So eat. The next point that is recommended would be maybe to join a community which reminds you of home. In this case, maybe an African community or some form of organization. So that's up to you if you want to join an African community and stick with it. I know our communities sometimes come with drama. Some of them are unnecessary. So in all honesty, sometimes I really try to shy away from strictly African societies. But I just like to say these also help in times of need and everything. And also during holidays and national holidays, they can come together and do something. But from my recent experiences, sometimes there may be some extra drama that comes with this. So I do join, but I'm not so fully involved. Also, I'll just say choose your, make a choice for the kind of societies you like to join, etc. Well, that aside, also there are churches you can go to. There are churches from back home who have their branches here, so definitely you'd have more of our people going to such churches as well. So you can also join that. You know, you go to church, you sing the local songs. Hey, my God is good. Oh, everything. Honestly, in all honesty, I really miss going to an African church. You know, African churches are like as I'm sitting here like this, I'm just returning from church, okay? But I think today I did more of Sunday school with the children, so I wasn't really in the main church. But it's not a typical African church. Of course, we do have Africans in the church. It's an international church. It's open to everybody, but it's mainly worship we do. And when I say worship, of course, worship is not something you go to church to do. Worship is supposed to be your way of life. But we do have a worship session, and it's mainly just singing and playing the piano. And sometimes I really miss doing praises and worship in church with the drums. And you know, you dance, and you go to the front of the church. You know, you form a circle, you dance. Then you go and sit down. The music, you're just dancing. But most of the time it's just somber. It's really more, it's given some Oyibo vibes. Or should I say some, is it Protestant? No, because some of the Protestant churches back home are into singing and dancing, maybe more Catholic, I don't know. But at the end of the day, yes, just find a community where you can relate with. For example, I go to church, I see my friends from Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria. We just vibe, we talk, and it's just nice, you know, to see people that remind you of home, and of course also make new friends as well. Another way you can prevent or reduce homesickness is celebrating holidays. I know there's this trend, especially among the girls. It's mainly the girls you see. Of course, people, both males and females, do that. But usually when it's Independence Day, you'd see Ghanaians living abroad, wearing their, waving their Ghana flag, wearing the African colors, kente, and shooting so many TikTok videos. And some people are even like, the Ghanaians living abroad are living and enjoying the independence holiday even more than the Ghanaians back home in Ghana. You know, when you're in Ghana, it's Independence Day, it's a holiday. You may go to the beach or go have a family hangout, blah, blah, blah. But back here, probably even Independence Day in Ghana is on the 6th of March, so there's a probability that it will not be a holiday where you are is very high, because maybe 6th of March may be a regular working day, etc. So we try to celebrate it in our own little way possible. So one of the things I would say is still commemorate the holidays back home. Even if you're not doing something so big, you can just even wear the clothes, maybe post on Instagram, just try to repost or just view things on TikTok, just remind you of home. And hyping Independence Day, singing, making TikTok videos on Instagram, doing photo shoots just to commemorate Independence Day. And it's like it's just our own little way of still being aligned with what we were used to doing back home. Okay, so holidays, Eid, um, Founders Day, Independence Day, Christmas, Easter. The vibe for Easter here is quite different, but try to celebrate it in your own little way. I don't know, we keep coming back to this topic. I've talked about it several times in so many of my other videos, but another way to avoid homesickness in Hungary, I would say, is to learn the language and the culture, because this is a place where you would consider your second home. So what do you know about your first home? You know the language, you know the culture, the food, the people. So another way you can actually prevent homesickness is to know the language, know the culture. I'm just laughing because we know Hungarian language is very difficult, but there are people who have learned it. By learning another culture, you also get to form your own community. You also get to know more about the other cultures, and you don't also would not feel so left out from what is actually happening around you. So learning the language and the culture of the community you find yourself in. I know the other Western countries which actually have an integration program. I was so impressed, but I don't really see as much here in Hungary. And those integration programs I had seen in those other countries were fully enforced and pushed by the government. I think it's now that the Hungarian government is trying to put something in place, because now when you are going to apply for some kind of permanent residency, you need to know the language, when hitherto it wasn't the case. But in some other countries like that, from the moment you step into the country, there are integration programs to help you integrate into the society, learn the language, familiarize with the do's and don'ts of everyday life, etc. You have to make the extra efforts to learn about the language, learn the culture, etc. If you live in a country like Hungary. If you're not in Hungary, any other country or society you find yourself in, I'd encourage you to learn the culture, learn the language. You'll be able to make even more friends, and you can also form your own little community, and this would actually feel like an actual home away from home. Just to buttress this point I just mentioned, another way would be also just to explore the country, their history, touristic sites, their heritage sites, their past, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Ottoman occupation. Just try to learn as much as possible about the country you're living in, because it will help you integrate, and also you feel more at home in this country than you would ever be. Another way another way I reduce homesickness is by what? Can you guess? 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 African music, Afrobeats, high life, hip hop. Hey! Afrobeats, amapiano, high life, hip hop. You know, we do have some hip hop going on in Africa. So I think it's called Afro pop. Yeah, Afro pop, gospel music, old gospel music, new gospel music. Munchime. Maminde nyamiase, meshie nyamianka, wayami defe. I'm unavailable. They don't know they see me. So yeah. So one of the ways of preventing and keep staying away from the homesickness is by what? Keeping outdated African music, yeah. So playing African music, listening to African music. Culture FM is one of the go-to places I go. They have like a DJ playing music, and you see people vibing in the background and all of that. So Culture FM on YouTube is one of the places I go. Aside that, I'm searching music for my favorite artist. Do I even have a favorite artist? You know, sometimes just listening to music. I will like Terminator. I did deliver. I fancy that time. So yeah, so just listening to music, going on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Audio Max, wherever you get your new music from, just go in there, listen to some good music, just dance to it, sing out loud. You know, music is a de-stressor, it's a stress relief, and also when you're doing just singing songs that remind you of home, you know, it's just nice to vibe and dance and forget about your worries. So music is one of the ways. So in this case, I'll say African music, Ghanaian music, Nigerian music. I know Ghana, Nigeria, like this. We pretend like we don't like each other. We're always fighting, but we're like this at the end of the day. So one of the ways to prevent homesickness is by listening to some good music from home, you know, good music from home. And last but not the least, one of the ways I would say to deal with homesickness, if you're living abroad, especially in Hungary, is to be patient with yourself. Just understand that this is just a phase. You know, most of us left home. All of us left home. Everyone living abroad left their home country for different reasons. To seek greener pastures, to get educated, to explore more, to get some money, go back, or simply fleeing from a situation at home, or they just felt they had outgrown their home and they left. But at the end of the day, one thing that remains common is the yearning and longing to be back home, even if it's not forever, for a while. You know, people have, I've been watching videos of people who have lived abroad for so long, but at the end of the day, they remember and they have very fond memories of home, even though home is no longer home. Because imagine you left home at 20 and you're now in your 50s and you haven't lived at home in 30 years, but like, it feels different. But I just say, just be patient with yourself, understand that this is just a phase, and home is where the heart is. But and so as long as your heart is at home and you try some of these tricks and tips I'm recommending, talking about, if we can get by until when we're back home again. So that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed shooting the video. I like this laid back situation. I'm just sitting on my bed, honestly, nothing extra. With that being said, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Kindly leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you on another video sooner than later, loves. Until then, it's bye.